January 5th, Saint Simeon the Stylite. Saint Simeon was, in his life and conduct, a subject of astonishment, not only to the whole Roman Empire, but also to many barbarous and infidel peoples who had the highest veneration for him. The Roman emperors solicited his prayers and consulted him on matters of importance. It must, nevertheless, be acknowledged that his most remarkable actions are a subject of admiration, not of imitation. Stylites comes from the Greek word stylos, which means pillar or column, for it was on top of a pillar that Saint Simeon spent the largest part of his extraordinary life. Saint Simeon was the son of a shepherd on the borders of Syria, and at first kept his father's sheep. Being only 13 years of age, about the year 402, he was much moved by hearing the Beatitudes one day read in church. He went to a wise old man and asked him the meaning of these words. He explained to the boy that eternal happiness can only be achieved with suffering, and that solitude is the most secure way to attain it. Impressed with this explanation, the young man joined some hermits who lived in a nearby monastery. After spending several years in various monasteries after this one, he moved to the top of a mountain where he made an enclosure, but without any roof or shelter to protect him from the weather. And to confirm his resolution of pursuing this manner of life, he fastened his right leg to a rock with a chain. The local vicar and patriarch to Antioch told him that a firm will, supported by God's good grace, would enable him to abide in his solitary enclosure without having recourse to any bodily restraint, whereupon the obedient servant of God had his chains knocked off. But visitors began to throng to the mountain, and the solitude his soul sighed for came to be interrupted by the multitudes that flocked to receive his benediction, by which many sick recovered their health, and some were not satisfied unless they also touched him. So Simeon, to remove these causes of distraction, projected for himself a new and unprecedented manner of life. In the year 423, he erected a pillar about 10 feet high, and on it he dwelt for 4 years. And over the next 32 years, he spent his life on top of pillars at varying heights, the last one being over 70 feet high. During this time, certain local solitaries, hearing of him, were suspicious of a life so new and so strange, and they sent some of their number to test him, reproving him for departing from the tested ways of the fathers in choosing a path so original. They bade Saint Simeon come down from his pillar and return to the common life he had left. In a moment, the saint made ready to descend, but the emissaries were satisfied with this proof of humility that they had been told to revoke the order if he was disposed to obey. "Stay," they said, "and take courage. Your way of life is from God." His pillars did not exceed 6 feet in diameter at the top, which made it very difficult for him to lie extended on it. Neither would he allow a seat. He only stooped or leaned to take a little rest, and often in the day bowed his body in prayer. He made extortions to the people twice a day. His garments were the skins of beasts, and he never suffered any woman to come within the enclosure where his pillar stood. His disciple Antony mentions that he prayed most fervently for the soul of his mother after her decease. Simeon also exhorted the people most strenuously against the horrible custom of swearing, as also to observe strict justice, to take no usury, to be earnest in their piety, and to pray for the salvation of souls. The great deference paid to his instructions, even by barbarians, cannot be described. Many Persians, Armenians, and Iberians were converted by his miracles or by his discourses, which they crowded to hear. The emperors Theodosius and Leo I often consulted him and desired his prayers. By an incredible penance he bore all afflictions and rebukes without a word of complaint. He sincerely looked upon himself as the outcast of the world, and he spoke to all with the most engaging sweetness and charity. In the year 459, this incomparable penitent, bowing on his pillar as if intent on prayer, gave up the ghost, in the 69th year of his age. 2 days later, his body was conveyed to Antioch, attended by the bishops and the whole country. Many miracles related by Evangelist, Antony, and Cosmas were wrought on this occasion. Saint Simeon had the mission to show the entire church the value of solitude and isolation. Let us ask him to help us understand and have the taste for that kind of spiritual position so that we will be serious and achieve the union we are called to have with our Lord and Our Lady.